Jöreget kívánok! Hogy vagy, jó? I have such a calm, collective voice, don't I? Not always. Not always. I don't always have a calm, collective voice. Hmm. I'm not going to say you should see me when I get angry, but, I don't get angry that often, interestingly enough. I might lose patience from time to time, but, uh, but I don't get angry too often, and that's a good thing. What does it be? Slow to temper or something like that? Isn't there a saying about be quick to something and slow to anger or something like that? But anyway, start of another day, and not just another day. It's just a today is a today's a special day, and it will always be a special day. For as long as I live, at least. And of course, it's September 11th, 2019, 18 years after the day they say changed the world forever. And I turned on Fox News as I was getting ready to jump in the shower, and they've got all the tributes going to 9/11 and what have you. And every year since then, on September 11th, the inevitable, the inevitable thought, the inevitable topic is, what were you doing? What were you doing on September 11th when you got word? I'd be curious to know in the comments, those of you out there, just a quick sentence or two as to where you were on this day 18 years ago. For me, I was living off of River Road in a town called Forestville, California, and I was renting a room from a just a beautiful lady named Jan. And I had met Jan at the supermarket where I was working at a Wells Fargo bank kiosk. I would show up every day and in my suit and tie, and I would open up this little cabinet in this supermarket, and I would slide the counter out and open up the laptop and just prey on people coming up to use the ATM, trying to sell them home equity lines and credit cards and that kind of stuff. It was there that I taught myself web design, believe it or not. Sitting at that little counter, they put me in this outpost of a supermarket where they shouldn't have probably had a location, but they put me in a supermarket called Rayleigh's on Fulton Road in Santa Rosa, corner of Guerneville Road and Fulton Road out in Santa Rosa. And every day I'd pull up and just pull out a counter, and I was there by myself all day long, looking at a laptop and waiting for people to come up and engage me. And that's I used that time. I used that time where I was doing a whole hell of a lot of nothing to teach myself web design. And even to this day, when I walk into a place and I see somebody, just sitting there, and I know that the majority of their day is spent just sitting there, not doing a whole hell of a lot other than what they're paid to do, and that's take care of customers or whatever. But anyway, I often I'll walk in and I'll see somebody just sitting there at a job and just doing nothing, when they could be studying or reading or learning or something like that, making the optimal use of their time. But anyway, you see how I deviate from one topic to another. I got down that road of the down that road of that, talking about Jan. Jan, I met her at the supermarket, and she was renting a room. She had just a beautiful home out amongst some vineyards out in the countryside of Sonoma County, California. And I was going to the junior college at that time. I was taking courses at the junior college while I was also working at Wells Fargo Bank. And I remember getting in my car that morning. I don't remember the car that I was driving, but it doesn't really matter. Um, I pulled out onto the road to early in the morning out in California. Must have been about 6:30 on my way to take a math test, and I turned on the radio. It was KZST radio station, and the first thing I heard was, for the first time in United States aviation history, all flights are grounded. And I thought, that's odd. All flights across the United States are grounded. I said, that's awfully odd. And my first thought was, well, something happened with the computer system or something like that. But anyway, so that's where I was. I was driving to take a math test on an early weekday morning in Sonoma County, California. Hmm. And that was that's my recollection of 9/11. And they say it's a day that changed the they say it's a day that changed the world, and it did. It did change the world. I was reading an article the other day, and I don't know if I discussed this already or not, but there was an article written by Newt Gingrich. Newt Gingrich, you remember Newt? He led he was in charge of Congress or whatever back in the I think the Reagan era. But Newt always writes some interesting articles, and the other day he was writing about the susceptibility of our country's electrical grid. How susceptible and how fragile our country's electrical grid is. And he was saying that, were there to be something along the lines of a significant solar flare or some type of a electromagnetic, pulse or whatever, from some type of enemy or something like that, we could wake up one day, or not even wake up, but just be going through your day one day, and the power goes out, just like that. The power just goes out completely. And in the article, Newt was saying that, are you prepared for such a thing? Are you prepared? Your cell phone, you wouldn't be able to charge your cell phone. Your lights, your everything, wouldn't be working. I don't even know if you can pump gas or whatever when there's no electricity. But anyway, I started thinking about that. And I don't like to, get caught up in, all the what ifs of the world. But you look at some of the what ifs, more so than others, and it is possible that within my lifetime, an event such like that could happen, where the power could go out for weeks, months, and in his article he said even years. That our electrical grid is such that it could go out for an extended period of time. And I started thinking about that the other day, and I started to think, if that happened, having traveled as I've traveled, where would I want to be? Where would I want to be if all hell broke loose? Because that's probably what would happen. Ultimately, after weeks, months, or whatever it is, without power, you would start to see a breakdown in society, and all hell, would potentially break loose. And I found myself thinking, of all the places that I've traveled in the United States, where would I want to situate myself? And you know what? As I gave it some thought, probably somewhere down in California, and probably somewhere inland a little bit from say San Diego or Los Angeles or something like that. Somewhere inland just a little bit. And I say that because I wouldn't want I certainly wouldn't want to be someplace where it was too cold. I wouldn't want to be someplace where, potentially I could be, find myself in a situation where I was freezing to death. And God forbid, I wouldn't want to find myself in July, in Florida in the middle of July, with no heat, no electricity for weeks or months on end. I wouldn't want to do that. Uh, but anyway, it's just kind of an interesting thought, and it's not a thought that I dwell upon, but it's a thought that it's a thought that you think about. Where would you want to be if society went to hell in a handbasket? And mm, for me, I'd want to be in a temperate climate, and I'd want to be somewhere away from large population centers. That's where I would ultimately want to be. But anyway, boy, I'm just all over the board today, aren't I? With the whole with the whole range of topics. As I came down to pour my morning coffee and do my morning show, I reached into the cabinet and I grabbed out, the dad cup, the world's greatest dad, the world's greatest dad. And as I sit here, thinking back as I was pouring the coffee into this cup, uh, and prepared to do a video about thinking back on what I was doing on 9/11 and all that type of stuff. As I was pouring the coffee into the cup, the world's greatest dad, I couldn't help but to think of the memories, the memories of my dad. And what's interesting about the memories of my dad is that the last 2 to 3 years of his life, the last 2 to 3 years of his life, for the most part, and what is that, the 24 to 36 months of the last 24 to 36 months of my dad's life, I spent the better part of, I don't know, maybe 20 of those months with him, something like that. It doesn't, the amount doesn't matter, but I spent a significant amount of time with my dad during the last few years of his life, and they weren't all easy. Those that time that I spent with my dad, with him being in and out of the hospital numerous times, and dealing with the anxiety of his deteriorating. That's a hard word to pronounce. Deteriorating life or health. I mean, that all that aside, I had a lot of good times with my dad. I had a lot of good times with my dad. We watched a lot of great movies together. We played a lot of great games of chess. We took various trips here or there and what have you. And as I sit here now with my dad's passing, I think it's been 2 years now. Boy, to have had that chance, and taken advantage of the opportunity, to have spent that time with him as I did. It's just priceless. It really is priceless. But anyway, for those of you that haven't seen many of the videos of my dad, you could probably just go to YouTube and type in my screen name, which is T Hall, THALL 89553, and then the word dad. Just type in T Hall 89553, and then the word dad, and you'll see hundreds of videos with my dad. But anyway, so today I'm going down to Rosanna's house, and Rosanna's going to do a video today. Rosanna's going to do her first video, and she's making quiche. And she's pointed out to me a couple times now. That she can cook, and as the saying goes, we will see. But I have no doubt. That she is I have no doubt that Rosanna is a good cook. She's a wonderful. She maintains a wonderful home. I mean, if the pictures are any indication, the she maintains a really, really beautiful home. But so anyway, I'm going down there to do a video, and the video will be uploaded to her channel. She's going to create a channel, and I will put a link on my channel. And those of you that might be so kind to give her kind of a little bit of an adrenaline rush and maybe subscribe to her channel would be something that would be nice. But as I was thinking about that today, she has a 14-year-old son, and from I know very little about her son, um, but from what I've gathered and from what pictures I've seen, he seems like a really nice young man. So I'll be meeting her son today, which will be nice. But anyway, I was thinking as I was getting ready for today's show. Now, that's what it sounds like, doesn't it? Today's show. I was thinking that and I've probably thought this before, and and what have you, but maybe it's not always the best idea to include these morning thought videos that I do. I'm talking a lot about my personal life and what have you, but maybe it would be a wise decision to leave the romantic aspect of my personal life out of the videos. Maybe it'd be a good idea to just altogether leave leave the whole romantic aspect of my life out of the videos, to include not including those individuals such as Rosanna that I date into the video. But that's kind of hard. That's kind of hard to do. When you're dating somebody and the videos are so much a part of your life, to not include them in the video would be somewhat of a challenge in and by itself. But anyway, so that's about it, folks. That's about all that's on my mind right now. And hope you all have a great day, and take good care. And we'll talk to you. We'll talk to you later. I'd be curious to know some of your comments on the 9/11. What you were doing that day. So anyway, we should probably do the question of the day. Alexa, what's the question of the day?
Good morning. Here is today's question of the day. The topic is general knowledge. It is worth 7 points. What's the oldest currency in the world that's still in use today? You can choose from A, Russian ruble, B, Indian rupee, C, British pound, or D, Japanese yen.
What is British pound?
Good job. You have earned your 8th general knowledge badge and 7 points. At more than 1,200 years old, the British pound is the world's oldest currency still in use. It's the 4th most traded currency in the foreign exchange market.
Isn't that something that I would get that question? What were the options? The Russian ruble, the Indian, whatever you call it, the Japanese yen, or the British pound? What's the oldest currency? And I started thinking back as I was thinking about that. My first thought was to say India, because of their long-standing culture or what have you. But then I remember that India was colonized by Britain, if I'm not mistaken. And I thought, well, if they were colonized by Britain, then maybe the English pound is the oldest currency. But anyway, on another quick note, something that I've been looking at lately. I every now and then I have an account on Instagram. I don't necessarily use it all that much, but it's always nice to see pictures of various people of what they're doing and what have you. And every now and then I'll see a series of pictures. Like right now, I know this guy who is who's traveling overseas, and he's just you can see, I look at the pictures of him. He's in I think it's Kazakhstan or something like that, which is over in Eurasia or something like that. But I see these just a plethora of these pictures, and I think this is the first trip of this significance that he's ever taken over there, and it's wonderful to see. It's wonderful to see these pictures, and it's just one picture after the other after the other after the other. When you go on vacation or you go to a place like that, you just want the whole world to know where you're at and what you're doing, and and then I have another there's another individual that I see, and and they're traveling through France and all that kind of stuff. And I look at that, and I look at people that are taking these oh, I don't know what you want to call them, like one-off vacations or what have you. And I look at that and I compare it to my own situation. Whereas for all intent and purpose, for the better part of the last 10 or 15 years, the world has been my playground. It really has. I mean, the world has been my playground for the last 10 to 15 years. And meaning that I just come and go. I just come and go. I don't, not working for the man, and no responsibilities, nothing to hold me down, and there's no, if I wanted to change my plans and not go to New England next week and say go down to Patagonia in Argentina, which is a place that I'd like to go to, I could do that just with the simple changing of the flight itinerary. There's no I don't have to ask for extra time off work. I don't have to do anything other than book the flight and make sure that where I'm going has internet. And boy, to have that freedom is just so wonderful. And yesterday, one of the problems that I have is that I see these pictures. Of different places around the world, and knowing that I can go there if I want to, it's really hard. It's really hard to just, not just say, okay, gee, I'm going to go there next, or I'm going to go here, or I'm going to go there. And it's really interesting. Yesterday, I saw these pictures on Instagram of this gentleman that I follow, a photographer. And there were these pictures of these homes in the countryside in Hungary. And these homes were like the homes that you might see in some places of the world. They have like the grass roofs. The homes are built into the hillside and what have you. And I want to say I think maybe if you Google Pincelot, Pinceelot or something, Pincelot. I think maybe that was it. And it's a wine region in Magyarország. And anyway, and I saw those pictures and I'm thinking, God, I want to go there. You know, I want to go there. But that's one of that is, you think about, a lot of people I'm sure that there's more people wishing than not wishing, that they had that flexibility and that capability and that freedom and the financial means by which to do so. But I got to tell you that it's not without its challenge. It's not without its challenge to have that ability to do that, and not want to go off and do it. But anyway, I see some comments here. Let me see if I can see what the comments were on the video. Let's see. I remember as it was yesterday. Turn on the TV. Clever coworker in IBM told me it must be Bin Laden. I didn't hear about him before. I will check her video. Okay. All right. Anyway, so folks, that's about it. I need to get on with my day and let all you do the same. All right. Take good care. Bye-bye.